All right, Baby K, I'm sorry. I've got to cancel the show. I don't think I can do it today, man.
Oh no, what happened, Epos?
I can't stop playing Jotunnslayer, Hordes of Hel, and Digimon Storytime Stranger.
Oh, you got the Digimon game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I broke my pre-order rule for it when I read the articles about it and saw what I was thinking about Pokemon. I was like, I'm going to support Digimon. And I'm only an hour in, but it's been the most hype hour of any start to a video game I've ever played. And already it's checking so many boxes that I've wanted from modern Pokemon games that I am in trouble because that's 2 simultaneous game obsessions on top of playing through Gen 3 Pokemon in the first place.
And Elden Ring in the very far back.
Yeah. And Horizon with my wife. Like, I'm in for a doozy this holiday season.
That's so good, though. Like, when you get those moments, lean into it hard because you can't force those moments to happen. When you, like, are watching a movie or playing a game that is just, like, ticking every box and you're like, this is just enjoy it, dude. I was so happy to hear that. And what's the Yotai one?
It's Jotunnslayer Hordes of Hel. It's basically vampire survivors with Diablo graphics and like Nordic Viking themes. And it is so addicting. I started it at some point last week and already have 13 hours in it. Great on my Steam Deck. Great to just kind of like zone out to.
Oh, it looks sweet. It looks like Diablo.
Yeah, it's sick.
Oh man, I love hearing that, dude. Oh, well, good stuff. I'm still in Final Fantasy land. I'm playing through 7 Remake, but I'm in probably the last 30% of the game, and I'm having similar feelings. I play 30 minutes a day, basically, in the morning, right before work, and I look forward to it so much. A cup of coffee, and this is my second time going through it, and as an original, like, PS1 mega fan of the original, it feels too good to be true. I still am kind of pinching myself that we got this full-on remake that I think is pretty incredible. And seeing these models and worlds realized in ways that I've just dreamt about in my head, like my whole life. It's like a good version of a book being made into a film where you've pictured it in your head and they did a good job realizing it. Because PS1, it was a lot of imagination, you know? So, well, cool.
I've actually started calling remakes basically that, adaptations, where it's like the ones that are super transformative, like the Resident Evil ones and Final Fantasy, or the Pokemon ones, where it's like they took that thing, like you said, where you need a lot of imagination and fleshed it out, and it's really cool to see sometimes.
Gosh, I love that. I love that.
I've been breaking my rule. This show has been really good for me, but it's causing me to break my rule about checking comments too much, because the comments on these shows are just incredible, that then I'm tempted to refresh them more and expect the same comments on everything else, and it's not the same. So everybody listening or watching the podcast, you are greatly appreciated.
You're amazing. This community is so rad. And Party Chat is the show where we react to your comments and topics that you suggest on both Party Chat and Dual Comm.
Yes, this is a companion podcast to the Dual Comm Podcast. Yes,
that's right.
We may not get through them all today, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, why don't we just get cooking?
Yeah, we're going to start with the era of PS4 is here, as we predicted only just like one show ago. This is possible. We've kind of predicted some news before, but this might be our first time predicting just a straight up trend, which is great. So we've talked about before about how the PS4 is just like an incredible value right now. You can get it for like $100-$150. All the games are cheap. It has a massive library at this point, and it's a pretty seamless upgrade path to the PS5 should that get cheaper down the road, although that seems less and less likely with the way consoles are going. So we got our first comment here in a kind of string with this theme. The first one's from Mr. J Marsh 56, who said, "I just saw my first PS4 is so great instead of Switch 2 video today. I personally have been taking steps to start a physical collection of PS4, PS5 games in the last 2 weeks." Yeah, we said the trend was coming. As usual, I haven't actually managed to make a video to jump on said trend, but I at least called it out that it was going to happen, and it's already starting.
The wave is going to hit hard, and I think I sent you a thumbnail, too, from somebody who never had a PS4, who picked one up on eBay for like $100, and they're loving it. It's their first, they're a PC gamer, and it's their first like modernish console, and it is sort of funny because watching some of those videos from people who didn't experience it, even though PS4 is very modern, there is this craving and a desire to know like what it was like to have one during peak timing, and they do get some things wrong. Like there's that nostalgia of didn't experience it, but here's what I think it was like, kind of going through some of the vibes that I've been seeing.
Dude, I remember I had a buddy when I was in college. I did not get a PS4 on launch. I waited till, I guess, the next year, and I had a buddy who got one straight up on launch, and he had already technically opened it, but still had everything preserved really well, and let me go film an unboxing of it at his house and experience it, like, basically for the first time. The video was horrible. I took a camcorder, and he had, no lighting in the room, and it was super dark and horrible. But booting it up and seeing, like, Resogun and stuff for the first time, like, coming from the PS3 and seeing the difference in Destiny and stuff just blew my mind.
Yeah. It was pretty fun, and I still look back. I use a lot of PS4 footage because the PS4 is easy to capture. I have the PS5 out on a TV, and I have to move the console to capture it, and it's still fairly impressive what they were able to get out of that hardware. So and I think there's another comment talking specifically about that, right? PS4 versus PS5.
Yeah, Irritated Bear 9383 asking for clarification. Is there any reason to hop on this trend and buy a PS4 if you have a PS5? And ultimately, you had responded to this comment, but I wanted to feature it since we were talking about it. Ultimately, the answer there is no. I'm not aware of any specific backwards compatibility, like,
there's like 5
incompatibilities.
Games.
Is there? Okay.
There's like 5. They're on Sony's website, and
very tiny handful.
Yeah.
But 99% of the games are going to work. They're going to be better on PS5, either in the unlocked modes or just having free PS5 patches. Like, the only reason to do that is if you just want to collect the consoles or experience them their original native way, but you are going to, by and large, get a much better experience on the PS5. It's just a much less accessible system, which is why the hype is focused on the PS4 right now.
Yeah, I think if you don't have the budget for a PS5, get a PS4 Pro. We mentioned that on the previous episode. Don't just get vanilla PS4 at this point. On eBay, the pricing difference between the Pro and the default is pretty negligent. The cost of a few games.
Yeah, it's like $10 or $20, even at GameStop.
Yeah. Plus, you want the hamburger. I have the hamburger right here. I actually don't regret. I bought a PS4 Pro, sold my PS4 to a coworker, and I love this thing. It's loud as a jet engine, but it's just been a fantastic workhorse of a system. And so on PS5, you're basically getting the PS4 Pro performance of all those PS4 games, essentially. It can't, if the game doesn't have a PS5 patch, you're not going to get the faster loading times. It's all going to be basically locked to what PS4 Pro would do. But there is this benefit if you are on the PS5 platform, which it sounds like you are, and you still want to get games, it's always worthwhile looking for some of these games that have PS4 and PS5. Sony has done away with almost all of these $10 upgrade patches, but for things like Gran Turismo 7, you can get the PS4 version, or you could. I don't know if the upgrade patch is still this cheap, but you could get the upgrade patch for like $10. And so get a used copy of the PS4 version, double check if they've got the PS5 upgrade for cheap, and that's a pathway in. Like Skyrim, the PS5 version of Skyrim, the only way to have a physical copy is the PS4 version of Skyrim. Then you buy the upgrade patch. So it's just like, that's confusing.
It is a mess. I do miss, I got a bunch of PS3 games free from a coworker back when the PS4 had just released because they were doing free upgrades for PS4 versions and he didn't need his PS3 disc anymore.
Yeah.
And so I got like Assassin's Creed Black Flag and a couple goofy games like that way. But it is easier now. It's just more confusing to figure out. But definitely worth it collecting those games. And even the ones that don't have PS5 patches, if they were released in the PS4 Pro era, they probably have an unlocked frame rate mode, which will perform better with the PS5 hardware. It may not be lock steady, but it will be a little bit better. Or like the upscaling will render it, native resolution higher or whatever and look a little bit better. Like Modern Warfare Remastered doesn't really do anything on PS5, but since the PS5 is faster, it looks a little nicer and runs a little smoother.
Bryce Martin 1267 says, love the discussion, guys, on the topic of PS4 collecting and frugal gaming habits. In general, I can't recommend highly enough visiting your local library. Many libraries now have a video game catalog, and my local branch has tons of PS4 games. This is a great way to support libraries as well as save some dollars on gaming. I had no idea that libraries were carrying games. I knew about like CDs and DVDs and stuff, but that's pretty epic.
Yeah, it depends on your library. And my library is pretty great, but like most of the games there are like Wii games. They're not up on, the latest and greatest. But yes, both check them for sure, and borrowing them, even if you just like keep borrowing them off and on, like, yes, it is free to you, but the act of using a library makes a huge difference in terms of supporting it and allowing it to stay funded, and so that is a huge deal. And the same thing with what BBK's been talking about on the other side of the podcast on Dual Comm about beefing up his Jellyfin server with DVDs and Blu-rays and things like that. Just borrow movies and shows from your library and rip them. There is only good to come from that because you are getting the thing for free. You would be watching it free anyway, and you're supporting your library and allowing it to stay open, which is a huge deal. So both gaming and movies, TV shows, you can save a lot of money that way. Libraries are underrated these days.
By the way, I just spent $30 on a Blu-ray of a YouTube video that I've been watching pretty often. And so, yeah, like there are some YouTube creators, right, who they came from the DVD era of making stuff. It's a train video, okay? And so, like, I'm getting into trains a little bit here. I loved trains when I was a little kid, and I don't know why. It's just like this new kind of hobby. Anyway, I've been watching
I love that there's a Blu-ray of that.
Yeah, all of his stuff he sells as DVDs and Blu-rays, and I've watched this like so many times. I'm like, you know what? I want to support that. Yeah. I want to like work towards helping creators in that way. And so, no, it's not 4K, but I'm going to have a high bitrate 1080p version coming. You know, I also thought about like, should I just message this person and be like, how much for a 4K like, Google Drive rip of this thing, dude?
Yeah.
Give me the ProRes.
Give me the file. No, I love buying stuff like that. I've got the My Life in Gaming Night Trap documentary on Blu-ray. I've got the No Clip Making of Hades documentary on Blu-ray. Anytime someone's going to sell a physical media thing, I'm going to support it, and it's going to financially support them way more than your ad revenue would anyway.
No, if it was inexpensive, it'd be super fun to do the first season of Dual Comm, like the first year of Dual Comm on DVD box set.
Absolutely. I would
discs.
100% do that. It's a lot of fun to make that kind of stuff. We have a comment of contrarianism here against our PS4 era declaration from Lucas Notch saying the PS4 era actually sucked. Not gonna lie. This is coming from someone who values creative freedom across the board, and Sony failed to deliver that creative freedom to both Western and Japanese developers, large and small developers. And then, of course, we had someone replying saying that they disagree. I gotta be honest. I don't know where this is coming from. Do you?
No, I don't know enough about what was greenlit and what wasn't greenlit or industry insider stuff enough. Maybe like trying to see the perspective, because I respect the perspective. Yeah. If they have another system they think is better and it got way more creative titles, that's great. This is the era of, I'm going to reveal the name of the type of game that has gotten so big in this era that you coined, the walkie-talkie.
Yes.
If you're okay with that.
Yes.
These large-scale narrative games that you can say The Last of Us kicked off. There were other games doing that style at the time, but probably the most popular in like a wider audience is Last of Us, where you get these big narrative adventures where it is like a season of a TV show, a 25-hour story game, Last of Us Part 2, God of War, Horizon.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, I think, avoids that. Spider-Man is a little bit different, but it's kind of close to it. But yes, that kind of samey game, which sells great, is impressive, but also lacks on some of the gameness of the older generations.
Yeah, I definitely think Spider-Man has some of those elements for sure, but it's also like you hit the ground running with gameplay, and at least in both that and Miles Morales. So I'm not too worried about that so much. But yeah, I definitely think Sony has crafted this quadruple A genre that, like you said, we're calling the walkie-talkie, which is designed to be as minimally like gamey as possible to attract the most amount of eyes. And that's how you've talked about on the Dual Comm before, how we get like actors talking about how great The Last of Us is and stuff because of just the performances and everything else rather than the game. But you also got to, like, that's just Sony's studios. Like, all the studios making those games are basically just different Sony studios at this point. Even if they're not officially, they more or less have been. Like I forget their name, but Horizon Studio has only made PlayStation games pretty much. Killzone and Horizon are both PlayStation exclusives. So, yeah, I would argue that Sony's output has been creatively limited, but you have a massive library from everyone else putting out great games on the system. Like I have more PS4 games than I have Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PS5 games at the moment. Like all together. The PS4 has so many games on it that span all genres and creativities. Like you're not I do agree we have complained pretty regularly about the walkie-talkie trend, but I don't think that is a hit on the console itself because there's just so much available for it. And every console generation has that trend. Like the Xbox 360 PS3 era was the blockbuster Killzone Gears of War kind of era where those games were all kind of samey and gray and brown. So like Unreal Engine 3 vibe, like every generation has a trend wave. That doesn't mean everything else is not good.
Yeah. And like I said, we can probably support the whole, like, we would love more AA style games. We'd love more Astrobot style games. But I can kind of look back and see, like, okay, Bloodborne, Death Stranding, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Uncharted 4 is a great game. I think they did a really great job with that. And you can play all the other Uncharted games on that. But those are creative.
Nier.
Those are big, you know. Oh, Nier Automata, so good. It's hard. I guess, was it exclusive? I think it was PS4. Was it a timed exclusive at the start, or was it all platforms?
It was something like that. I don't remember now.
I don't remember. Yorha Edition or whatever is
on
everything now. So that game is just phenomenal. I think there's a fatigue, and that's probably where we can leave it. Is like there's totally a fatigue with that quadruple A, one release per generation. 25-hour story-ish game. I know for me it is. Like, I prefer the old God of War games way more than the new walkie-talkie style. Like, give me an old-school top-down isometric God of War, and I am back for sure.
Supposedly Ragnarok is like way better in that regard instead of being so slow. But like, I'm at this point where I'm not gonna play Ragnarok until I play the first one, because everything that makes Ragnarok good is set up by the first one. And I've just been so locked in. I was actually having a conversation in my Discord about this yesterday because I feel trapped in it because I had such a miserable time and stalled out on it. And now when I come back, I'm stuck in the save where I don't really know what's going on or how to beat this fight. And so I may just start over fresh. I have it on PC just because of benchmarking reasons. I may start over fresh on PC. And if I can get through it, then I'll pick up Ragnarok. But I'm refusing to buy Ragnarok until I finish it because I'm never going to play Ragnarok until I finish it.
I have a great idea. If I was a developer, and I don't know if this would ever get like resources greenlit to do it, but basically it can tell how long it's been since you've logged in since your last save or since you booted up, right? Yeah. So let's say it's been 3 months plus or 6 months plus or a year plus, and you want to continue with that save, but you need a refresher. It automatically prompts you, hey, it's been a while. Do you want a quick tutorial to get back into the mix? And it just is like a curated little tutorial that within 10 minutes, you get the full refresher on your kit, your combat, where your character was at that point. So you don't have to like restart the entire game and the save file again. Because I have done that with so many games, and I just get midway through a game over and over, stall, come back a year later, and don't finish it. But the way PlayStation 5 has those cool contextual game hints, I feel like you could almost do something like that. It would never, I mean, there's developers who'd be like, no, screw that, that's stupid. But I think there's certain games it would be pretty cool for.
To me, yeah, for a lot of games, there is no excuse not to implement this. Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Game Boy Advance had a last time you played flashback thing that showed you the highlights of what you did last time. Has a built-in tutorial thing you can access like that. Freaking Animal Crossing on the GameCube had a thing that detected how long it's been since you've played and affects your world over time as you have abandoned it.
Network TV shows do it. Like, last time on this stupid guy.
Like, everyone can do, like, it's been possible for 20 years. It could be done. Also, with Nier, 2017 it was PS4 and PC, and then 2018 it was Xbox, and then Switch in 2022.
It's such a good game. It's so fun. Next comment. Goldfish guy, and this ties in nicely. Well done, Epos. You like group these in a very thematic way. He says, about the modern gaming defensive reaction. There are still great games coming out, and they will stand the test of time. Expedition 33, Kingdom Come 1 and 2, Time Stranger, etc. I think a lot of people forget that there used to be a lot of bad games back in the good old days as well. Great games will survive always. Yep.
Yeah, that
100%.
Ties directly into like your conversation last episode about like wanting to appreciate the older stuff, but not just wanting to just be like, yeah, and everything new sucks. Like the PS2 has like, I quote a different number every time because I see a different number every time I look it up, but like 4,000 games for it or something ridiculous. And all the PS1 games, like they're not all bangers. You don't get a complete library of PS2 and every game is like life changing. A lot of them are just shovelware. A lot of them are not great.
There was so much bad.
Yeah.
So much bad in PS1 and PS2 and PS3.
Yeah.
Like,
and PS1.
I mean, PS2 was a full-on gamble. That's why game rentals were so nice. There were plenty of times like I would pick something up because the box art was cool. The Bouncer. I don't know. I bet you if you know that box art if you saw it. It just was that iconic 2000s stuff. I remember as a kid not liking the gameplay. I've seen some pretty good like nostalgia, like deep dives of it these days where people are like, yeah, it's a flawed game, but was kind of cool. But there's just so many PS2 titles I would pick up, get frustrated with, and be like, this is garbage, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was more garbage back then because it was cheaper to make.
Yes. No, 100%. And it was way more experimental of a time, and lots of games were still learning controls. Like playing a first-person shooter on PS1 or PS2. Good luck to you.
Yeah, it's.
I have Doom on there and Quake. It's so bad.
This is really why I do think Halo is a little misunderstood in some ways, because Halo, in my eyes, other than Medal of Honor Frontline, is the console FPS game to finally figure out controls and make it feel great.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal. Like getting it to really feel phenomenal on a controller. I think it was Medal of Honor Frontline, I think, is the one with the D-Day sequence.
Yeah. No, it was a big deal.
Incredible.
But a big part, I think, what affects people's discussions is back then in the PS2 days, like we weren't aware of these things as they were coming out. A lot of the garbage games were stuff that we just never noticed in the bargain bins or in the less popular shelves. And then, when we picked them up, we're like, oh, what the heck is this? And then we kind of move on. Like, they don't stick with us.
No.
But in modern discourse, we're seeing everything pushed, and we're seeing it marketed as the best thing since sliced bread in real time. And I think that really messes with people's perspectives on things. Like, we can't just be like, yep, there's always bad games, we'll just ignore this one, when like we're actively being told and sold, and especially with influencer culture, which I realize we're a part of, but like we're being told it by our fellow gamers that it's going to be this great thing, and then it shuts down in 3 weeks. Like, we did not have that element at the time.
Yeah. That we're more discerning, I feel like, of all media these days because there are more resources. But what makes a game bad back then versus bad now is typically different, right?
Yeah.
There's different predatory, like monetary practices that can really compromise gameplay. Whereas a lot of the times PS2 bad was, it just mechanically was horrific. It was not fun at all to utilize, or had performance issues or control issues that were just so irritating, where there are some games I just cannot go back to because it's so, it's awful. Like I cannot play single stick shooters on a controller. I just can't. I need dual stick.
Yeah, no, I can't either. But yeah, like that was those games. The games releasing today that are bad don't even come close to the bad games back then, because these games still function. You can still play them. I mean, they don't all function if they shut down, but like the games back then, you may have actually wanted to play it, but it was so mechanically or like you said, control-wise broken that you just can't. Whereas today, like that standard isn't even considered because it's so much higher. So like the difference is massive. I did want to use this opportunity to talk about a couple PS2 games I have arriving at the end of this week that I'm very excited for.
Yes, please. Yes.
I finally pulled the trigger on a couple of the OG From Software games. So I have the King's Field game that was on PS2, which I'm forgetting the subtitle for that one.
Oh, that's the cool. I love that box art.
What is it called? Oh, it's not showing it here. Oh, yeah, it is. King's Field, The Ancient City.
Oh, no, not that one. I'm not thinking of that one. Okay.
There's a lot of Kingsfield games. I don't know if this is the one, but it was one on PS2, so I'm getting it.
Cool. Yeah.
And then Eternal Ring, which
that's the one. That's the one that has the really cool box art that I sent you. Yeah. Nope. No, it's not. I'm wrong again.
Oh my gosh. From Software made a lot of cool games on the PS1 and PS2, and it's kind of funny now seeing how much they were basically just making Souls games like already.
You can see some of the UI elements.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
there.
Eternal Ring is just Dark Souls. Like, if you look at the gameplay and the UI, like, it is straight up Dark Souls.
Wow, that's cool. Okay. Well,
what's crazy to
nifty.
me, I think you and I had featured a video at one point to each, or like sent it to each other. There's someone who like went through and made a video compilation of supposedly all the From Software games. They were actually missing a couple ones that I'm very excited for. But like, for like 10 or 15 years, they were putting out 2 or 3 games a year.
Yeah.
Like Armored Core and the Kingsfield kind of games, like they were just chugging them out, like one after the other. And then they did a bunch of weird experimental mobile stuff. And then the one that I always want to highlight that everyone leaves out and forgets, 3D Dot Game Heroes on the PS3. This was like Cube World or like almost Minecrafty in terms of just being this weird 3D version of a pixel art game.
Is this the one with the sword that gets gigantic?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is like
I've wanted to try it.
Yeah, it is their Zelda game. And it has tons of references to D&D and like other From Software. Like they have freaking Armored Core mechs in there as character options and stuff. Like it is ridiculous. And everyone leaves it off the list. And like it is such a cool little hidden PS3 game.
Wow. That's pretty cool. And you know, I didn't even think about it, but Eternal Ring and Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Nice little.
When I saw that, I was
resonates.
like, surely someone's making this as a parody for like a no, it was the real game. I don't know why I didn't hear of it, so I ordered it. It was like $20.
Right before we move to like the next comment, I want to throw one more thing out there since we're on the bad game question. If any of the viewers played Concord before it was shut down, I am genuinely curious. Could you leave a comment? Like, what was the gameplay like? How was the loop? How was the like actual mechanics of it designed? Because I'm thinking about it. The Josh Hamrick and a lot of the people from there were Destiny PvP designers. I remember because when we did the Destiny podcast, we would talk about them quite a bit. And I'm wondering, mechanically, was it a fun FPS game? Like they play tested it, they worked on it for flat forever. We know why it failed. We don't need to rehash that. There's an exceptional amount of genre fatigue, and it just didn't look like it moved the needle in any original direction. But in a vacuum, in a non-genre fatigued world, was it an actually like a good FPS game? I kind of wonder that, you know?
Yeah, I've always wondered that too. Like, that's what honestly makes me sad about quick shutdowns is there have been so many games throughout history that have found their like core devoted audience a fair bit after release. And when we're shutting down games so quickly, there's no chance for that. Like, I miss the era of like cult followings developing after the fact. I mean, that's basically how Souls games became popular. So like, because I'm very curious. I might have vibed with it, but I'll never know. Yeah.
The expectation of massive adoption with continual growth or really slow attrition, it doesn't work. So, all right. What's our next comment, bro?
So in a similar vein, kind of talking about bad games, what do you all think this is from Harvey Too Tall. What do you all think is the top 3 older games that deserve a full remake or remaster?
This is like the impossible question, dude. I keep thinking about this. Like I wrote down a list of games. I don't have 3 or 4. And I also, some of them I don't want remade because the way remakes and these things happen, you kind of have to change the original vision. It can't be the same thing with updated graphics or mechanics. It would compromise it, you know?
Yes. So there is that element of it. I think no remasters. Like, I would happily have just like a complete policy against remastering games at all. Collections, ports, great. Remasters, no. If we're gonna redo a game, let's remake it. Bluepoint style, Capcom style, whatever. And it's gotta be good at that point because you're investing so many resources. I have 2 games that I know for sure. I'm struggling to think of a third, and so I'm hoping it'll pop up in my head as we talk about it. Should I lead or do you want to pop in one?
No, you lead. I'm trying not to overthink it, and I went very personal because I can't think of one that's like gonna suit everybody's tastes.
Oh yeah, these are purely games that I just think absolutely deserve better time in the spotlight, especially in the current game space. The first is Heavenly Sword, PS3 game, incredibly ambitious, A lot of fun. Had crazy motion capture tech with freaking, what's his name? Who did Golem?
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, Circus. And it's the same team that's doing Hellblade these days. Wonderful game. But they were so ambitious, it ran like absolute doo-doo on the PS3. And even emulating it, it is hard to make it like go because it's just so not well optimized. That is a game that deserves a proper remake and a modern engine that can handle it. Preferably an engine like whatever they use for the Muso games, the Warriors games. Because clearly they can handle a lot of enemies on screen at once to get it to a smooth frame rate. Because the combat is a lot of fun and the story seems pretty cool. And it was a great attempt at like a cool stylized story thing. Obviously, like you said, the vision gets compromised, so maybe they won't. I would love for Ninja Theory, I think, not Team Ninja, Ninja Theory, to have another swing at it with all their newer like motion capture stuff. Like the stuff they're doing with Hellblade was what they were building on in Heavenly Sword. So like I would love to see them get another swing at it. They're not going to now, most likely, because they are an Xbox studio, but maybe with the console boundaries eroding, maybe they'll get to play with the IP again. I don't know. But that's one that, like, it's really hard to recommend someone go play it, both because of how bad the performance was and because of how poorly aged it was. One of those games that had 6-axis stuff shoehorned in there just to promote the 6-axis controller. So I'm not a fan of that, but I would love to see that one.
That's a really good one. Yeah, let's hear your other one.
My other one was Follow Man, Resistance Follow Man. First-person shooter on the PS3. It was part of a 3-piece series that is not playable on modern hardware because it's locked to the PS3. And I'd say overall it has aged decently. Like visuals and stuff aren't great. My issue is the controls are not super polished, at least in the first one. I think by number 3 they got it well, but the first one, I've been going back and playing it this year. It's a little awkward to control. Like something about the sensitivity and the input is just not. I found myself dying a lot because it just wasn't the acceleration curves or something were just wonky and it was not controlling how I wanted. So I would love to see a new take on that without a lot of the graphical trends of the time. And that will compromise the artistic vision, but I think in this case that's a good thing because that was a game that was all in on the ghosty graphics to hide, like with ghosty motion blur like Reach had to hide the low frame rate. It was all brown and gray with no color at all. Like it was all in on that era of trends, and I think that is a place where we could substitute some of the artistic vision with some modernization in a way. It should still be pretty stylized. It is a very sci-fi alt history kind of thing. So like it doesn't need to just be like photorealistic or whatever, but it should it's a game I would love to play in a way that doesn't feel punishing to me. Like I'm probably not going to finish it and just jump to 2 because it gets really rough.
I never got to try the Resistance games, but there is everyone who did, I feel like loved it, and it's so sad that Sony didn't carry it forward. Like in some of these modern, could you imagine a modern Killzone with the horsepower of the PS5? It would be insanely gorgeous. Like
it would be so pretty.
Engine. Oh.
Yeah, even 3 running in the emulator like looks incredible. Like they could do so much with it, and they're at a point where they have the performance to like pick up the frame rate and get the input lag under control.
They have that Horizon PSVR 2 game, which looks so gorgeous and amazing. So thinking about Decima engine stuff or a Horizon first-person game would be really cool. Kind of silly, but all right, here we go. I don't know if everybody's ready for this. This is obviously the greatest idea of all time for a remaster or a remake.
Okay.
Stick with me now, okay?
Uh-huh.
It's a long abbreviation. Halo. CEAAA. We need to remake it a 4th time.
Oh,
dude. Forget campaign evolves coming out. Who knows when? The thing they just revealed at the World Championship. They need to remaster that again, dude. We need anniversary. You feel me?
It's going to be the PS6 remaster like they just did with Horizon and The Last of Us. Like immediately just pop out. Halo campaign evolved anniversary
edition, arcade ultra.
Or go with like Skyrim and it's like legendary edition, special edition.
Oh, I know. I followed it this whole time, and I'm like, I think I asked ChatGPT, like, okay, how do I get Skyrim on PS5?
Yeah.
No, I'm just mocking. It is sort of funny that we're getting Combat Evolved for the third time. And we both talked about it in videos this last week, so we don't need to bring it up. Since the comment says a full remake or a remaster, I'll cruise through my personal list real quick. I think Metal Gear Solid, the first one, could use a good way to play through it. Everybody's going to be like, Twin Snakes, bro. Twin Snakes is rad. It totally compromised on a bunch of the artistic vision things and is very different. And they took the MGS2 engine and rebuilt MGS1 in it. It's super fun. I loved it when I was younger. But then when I started super nerding out about it, there's this great Twitch channel called Outer Heaven, which is just 3 or 4 of the best like Metal Gear Solid story streamers ever. They always beat it on European Extreme. Like the whole channel is just always deep dive story runs with Easter eggs. And it's like watching a developer commentary over the run every time. And it is hilarious to see how much oversight was left in there. Porting the game to the MGS2 engine, you can break almost every gameplay section with mechanics from MGS2 that they just didn't even take the time to play test. And it's wonderful.
That is amazing.
I love it. But the original MGS1 would do great for a Blue Point style. It's a fine way to play it, but the original's controls have aged pretty poorly. It's kind of cumbersome to play through these days.
So you mean like a remake for it? Yeah, okay.
A remake for it. The PS3 versions, in my opinion, are still really great. When these collections started coming out, it was pretty horrific at first. Then they patched them, and I think the consensus is now they're okay. So Ocarina of Time could use not a remake, but a remaster to play it on a modern system. They did the 3DS version, and that is the best way to play the game. A lot of people don't like the art style of the 3DS version, and I agree with that. I think the N64 visuals are nicer, but if you have somebody with a Switch who wants to play OOT, the Nintendo Switch Online version is doo-doo. It's input delay. It's gotten better, but their emulation is just bad. So it would be nice to have a native version running of it, especially since people have already decompiled it and made it work perfectly. So Pokemon Gold, dude. Shouldn't that have some way to play it that's not a $400 or $500 cartridge online?
Yeah. I think it's inexcusable that the Switch doesn't just have the entire back catalog of Pokemon games available. Obviously, DS games are DS games are not messy because there are games that allow you to turn the Switch vertically and play it that way. DS games could be played vertically on the Switch. So, yeah, I think it's unacceptable that Pokemon games don't just have the entire back catalog running on Switch with either Switch Online or however they want to do it. They have the horsepower, they have the licenses. I cannot think of any reason that they don't do it other than this weird messed up form of greed, because I would understand greed if they just want to keep selling us the digital versions. Like, I'll pay for it. But no, they don't even want to sell us the old versions because that would possibly take away sales from the new versions, which is just as cynical as it gets. This is my signature every episode anti-Nintendo rant. Thank you for listening.
It's not my cup of tea, but Bloodborne, I know everybody's like totally like, we need the Bloodborne one.
Just give the patch. Just do the patch. That's all it needs.
People have talked about wanting Final Fantasy X to get the kind of remake treatment that 7 did. I'm a little mixed on that. 10 is my favorite game of all time. But yeah, I would if they're going to do it, great.
I mean, it already got HD. Does it need a whole remake?
No, it's phenomenal as is. It's like exceptional as is.
I was going to play 10 sometime.
Dude, it's my favorite game of all time. It's like my favorite narrative. It's the best iteration of turn-based combat in the FF series, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or one of them. ATB was pretty great in FF7, but Street Fighter Third Strike would do very well for a modern release, and I don't think it needs crazy updated graphics. The hand-drawn stuff was beautiful.
Yeah.
Personal favorite, The Legend of Dragoon. The joke for the last 15, 20 years is it's going to get its mega remake someday. I replayed through it this year. Story sucks. Love that game. I had a huge affinity to it when I was a kid. It's pretty fun and it has some cool ideas, but yeah, very flawed, very average. Metal Gear Solid 2 could, do with like the Metal Gear Delta treatment that just happened. I haven't actually played through Delta or bought it, and I will at some point, but it's almost like there's such treasured memories that I'm almost like nervous to go through it with photorealistic graphics,
Yeah, that's fair.
And this is going to be dumb, but I don't, certainly not. Like Modern Blizzard couldn't do it right, but World of Warcraft feels like such an impactful game that having a sequel or having some reinvention of that world, I think could be impactful, but I don't see any pathway forward. Like no developer could actually probably land that ship, you know?
I'm sorry, for what game?
World of Warcraft.
Okay. I just heard Blizzard, so I somehow missed that. Okay.
Sorry, I started mumbling because I was nervous to say it, but I think World of Warcraft would be one that getting a full overhaul, but they've tried to do that with expansions and it's always flippity flopped. So
right, yeah. I've got a couple more I was thinking of. Dragon Age Origins desperately needs a new version.
Yeah.
EA in its current form, especially post-acquisition, like cannot be trusted with it, so I don't want them to do it.
Come on, bro. Can't you see GPT remaking that game for us?
But like, no. But it sorely needs it. You can run it on modern computers, but it is an act of masochism in terms of stability and crashes, and you have to mod it to heck and back. It's a bad time. Yeah. But like I said, I do not trust modern EA to just not destroy it. So I'm really torn there because it deserves playing. Like everyone should play it, but it's really hard to get into it at this point. A joke one that I thought of while you were saying some of yours is there's a game I picked up. I remember fondly getting from Circuit City because I wanted the 3 limited edition official game cards that came inside. Yu-Gi-Oh! Power of Chaos, Joey the Passion. This was a computer Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that was about as cheesy as it gets. You've got Joey Wheeler, the New Jersey accented punk kid of Yu-Gi-Oh! Egging you on as he trains you to play the most basic form of Yu-Gi-Oh! Possible on what is basically a flash game for the computer. And somehow I just loved it to death as a kid because Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! On the computer was just this novel concept at the time. Now we've got lots of free, like, competitive dueling games and whatever, but it seemed like such a cool idea. And lastly, I've advocated for this before. Beyond, obviously, we need a God of War Greek collection ported over to PS5. PS4
That's
and PS5.
a good point. We do need that. They are fun games. Like they're pretty timeless. Like God of War 2 is just such a good start to finish game.
Yes. And they don't need remaster efforts. Like even they did God of War 3, which was just basically unlocking the PS3 version, which was fine. Like that's great, but like we still don't have the rest of them. There's like 6 other games. Absolutely just port the HD collection from PS3 over, please. Please. But then I would actually buy and attempt to play through a proper run again, the Final Fantasy 13 games, like do a little trilogy on PS5 because performance and stuff wise, they haven't aged super well. The Xbox version was bad. I know the Xbox backwards compatibility version did some hybrid, like porting over PS3 assets and stuff like that. And I know on PC you can get HD versions of every, but like it's such a mess to put together and play.
No, it's horrible. 13.2 is doo-doo on Steam, and even with the fixer patches, it's still really bad. Yeah,
and I remember playing back in like 2013, playing 13 on PC with mods and stuff, and it was still a train wreck. Like, I would love a good care done to it little collection of those together so that I could try to properly experience them again. And I think the rendering engine would just scale so beautifully on PS5.
So many thoughts about Final Fantasy. So I agree. I think having 13 playable start to finish would be nice. I've heard from many of my like much more hardcore Final Fantasy friends say that 13.2 is like amazing. Yeah, I played like 5 hours of 13.2 and it's really fun, like gameplay wise. It's just I like the idea of if it sucks or is inaccessible to play on a system, to get a version that makes it more accessible to play.
Yes.
I'm less and less like interested in full-on remakes and reimagining of things because if the original is still there and playable, oftentimes it's still a great way to go play it. I don't necessarily want, like, what I appreciate about 7 Remake is while it is staying fairly faithful to the original, they basically came out and changed and added and made it a different game. It is its own thing. It's not one-to-one. Here's exactly what you remember because that's impossible. It's a totally different expression of the narrative.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that.
Go ahead.
No, that was it. I like that. It's impossible. It is the impossible thing to basically, like, combat or campaign evolved that we just saw all the stuff for. Everyone's pissed because the art is too shiny and looks like a UE5 AI prompt, you know, like make Halo look modern kind of thing. And I get it, but CE is just go play CE. I've played that is my favorite like campaign Halo. I think it is phenomenal and played through it a bajillion times. I used to speedrun it and it's still gorgeous. It's still great. It holds up very well. So it's not something that we need like the modernized take of.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think games that had major issues but were otherwise had huge potential should be remade to fix those issues, or if it can be fixed without doing a full remake, that's even better in some sort of port. But otherwise, just make games playable. Like, that's all. It kills me that there's this weird feedback loop of studios think that they need to remaster and remake games to get an influx of cash to then make their other games. But then they have to invest millions of dollars into remaking those games instead of just porting them and selling them again. But then the argument comes up that, okay, people aren't going to buy them as much if they're not doing this fancy remaster or whatever. But then it creates this other toxic thing of they're overselling what they've done with the remake or remaster in order to sell you the game. Like, it's a toxic cycle that I don't think needs to be done. And I'm hoping now that we're entering this era where, at least outside of Nintendo, all the systems are basically PCs, that moving forward, games can be ported. Like, at best, they just need a port, or they're going to be compatible regardless. And we can just get past constantly remaking things.
Well, it's this balancing act where the scene yells, change nothing, but put a fresh coat of paint on it. But don't make it look different from the original. That's too shiny.
Yeah, no, that was killing me in the comments on my video about the Halo thing, because it's like, you can't update the graphics without compromising the original vision. And then even if you did somehow, why wouldn't you just play the original? Like, outside of PlayStation exclusive players, or I guess Nintendo exclusive players, nothing has stopped you from replaying Halo CE over and over. It may have taken 8 seasons of MCC to get it completely accurate to both the PC and the Xbox original, but like, it's there, it's playable. You can also go pick up the Xbox copy. Like, I love CE. I replay it all the time. I'm probably doing a co-op run with some people before the new one comes out, but I want something with newness to it. Like, that's the only, I think, source of optimism I have for the Halo remake is I want new Halo. I want more Halo. And this at least gives me new content and a new way to play it. It's like SPV3, but slightly more tolerable to look at.
And to the person writing the angry CEA comment, we lived through this. I totally get it. The modernized graphics that they put into CEA do change the feeling and the tone and the style incredibly. It's very bright. It's different. It doesn't have the same mood. It doesn't have the same atmosphere. And yes, I would say that does not land on the artistic decisions of the original game.
Which is why I flip into the old graphics every time I play.
And I loved that option to basically hit back and switch back and forth between the two. And I think that is cool. But
that was such a revolutionary feature.
Halo feels like the impossible one, where you've got very passionate fans on both sides of the fence with all of this. And I'm in a similar basket where I don't really need another one-to-one remake of CE. I played CE and CEA to death. I've played through SPV3, the Great Campaign mod, a few times, and it looks like the rumors I saw, like from Twitter, people analyzed the screenshots from that reveal, and it looks like they're using, big hiccup, the Blam from Halo Reach. So it's going to be like visual pipeline UE5, gameplay pipeline probably Blam, similar to how Oblivion Remastered is that kind of 2 engines running at once.
Yeah.
And so it's like remix. To me, Campaign Evolved looks like a 3-4 or a Halo Studios budget SPV3 campaign mod. You're going to get to experience similar, but with the different sandbox of a more modern Halo game.
Yeah. Which is cool. I have huge respect and appreciation for the work the SPV3 modders did. However, it's one of those things where, like, the super heavy CE mods, what ends up happening to the UI and stuff, it just looks so gross to me that it becomes hard on the eyes to play. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
They did great work with that. You know, I was thinking, in my dream world, if we're going to get Halo remakes and whatever, you know what I'd really want?
What?
I'd love, like, if they're going to commit to just, like, starting over or whatever. The Halo games are pretty short. I would love for them to take a Final Fantasy VII remake approach and just combine the first 3 Halo games into just Halo, the Reclaimer Saga, the game.
Yeah.
Have it be one big, because that'd still only be what? Like a 30-hour game at most.
Yeah.
The games are like 6 to 8 hours each. They're not long.
That'd be cool.
Just a big Reclaimer Saga game. Fill in all the missing content. Fill in all the gaps. All the stuff that was left out or abandoned or scrapped. Fix it up. Modernize it. Make it consistent. All those things they want to do. Like add brutes to Halo 1. Add the battle rifle. Whatever. Like put it all together as one package. And just put it out there. And say this is Halo again. And I think people would eat that up so much better. And then while we're at it, let's just keep continuing the ODST style games alongside it with a separate SKU.
This kind of feels like that, though. They are including the new, like a testing ground for that. Like they're including 3 new missions, right?
Yeah.
And I want to know what that is going to play like, how it's going to be. If they can make this something they can produce on a more consistent time scale. Like what if we're getting the Halo 2 thing or the Halo 3 thing or whatever 2 or 3 years down the road, and it's no longer this like 8-year behemoth gap between
I would be over the moon.
Campaign releases. Like that's what we've been kind of asking for. Like we want more Halo stuff that isn't just every 8 years unfinished tied to live service.
Yeah. Like as much as people get really nitpicky about the campaign stuff, most of the pitfalls come into the live service and multiplayer side of things. Like I understand Halo kind of needs multiplayer to live, but frankly, at this rate with how long we've been waiting and how far things have gone, like if we're getting episodic Halo remasters basically and additional content with each one, and I'm getting new Halo to play all the time, like the original artistic vision has been long gone. We are never getting it back. It is quite literally impossible. So I will accept what we can get if it means just getting it.
Yeah,
up to an extent. Like I'm not trying to be all just consumed by or whatever, but like at the same time, you do have to accept that we cannot just put the original Bungie team back, somehow fix all their project management issues they had in the first place, and recreate all this magic. Like you just can't. So you got to find some way to compromise.
Every hope is that like franchise goes back to Halo 3 levels of amazingness. And look, the reason I have a YouTube channel and the fact that we met, the fact that we're even talking today is like down to Halo 2 and Halo 3, I think for both of us in many ways. You can trace so many of our content roots and joy with gaming back to that incredible era. But the leap forward that Halo 2 and 3 were, I don't think any amount of like perfect strategy. No. Look, could they be doing better strategy at Microsoft and Halo Studios? For sure, dude. Like, yeah, but nobody understands what's happening with Xbox right now. It just seems like they're walking around in the dark. And so Halo 2 and Halo 3 pushing forward the paradigm of matchmaking and basically revolutionizing the online console ecosystem that nobody who wasn't around for that period probably will get the impact of that. Yeah, multiplayer gaming on PC was definitely a thing, but it changed everything. They moved the football like not 10 yards, but like 500 yards that day. It was like the strongest arm of all time. And so they made such a huge revolutionizing play along with a pretty dang good and awesome and fun FPS game. And then you had the cultural, can I say it? The zeitgeist of the time. The lightning in the bottle. It was huge. And so I do think anytime anything gets announced for Halo, everybody is now measuring it to like, well, this won't get us back to that, bro. You fools. How could you be so ignorant?
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's probably no ever going back to being culturally that insane again.
Well, and I think
as much as I want it
is Halo as a game was not like, especially if we take it in modern context, it was never that popular in the big picture. It was that innovation and that like setting the stage for multiplayer gaming and like social gaming that made it popular because it was the option. It was the one doing it. And so everyone was hyped on this idea. There was obviously the fan base that was there for the story and for the craziness of all that. But a lot of it really was the way they changed the game, so to speak, the way they innovated. Everyone wanted to be a part of that. And once that became normalized, those people went on to play Call of Duty or other multiplayer games that picked up where Halo left off, and party game wise, they moved on to among us and those kinds of things. Like, Halo itself was not crucial to that phenomenon other than the fact that they were the ones doing it, I think.
Yeah, it's hard because I have rose-tinted glasses about all of this, and it's like one of our favorite game franchises of all time. And if viewers are new to either of our channels and don't know the history, like Halo is like super core the last decade, over a decade for us. And so I look back and I go, I love these games, but they're also not 11 out of 10 perfect games.
Oh, no,
like if you really just go back and play some of them, CE is a great example. Half the missions are phenomenal, and then the other half are whatever.
Yeah,
like super backtracking and yeah.
And everyone's like, I replay without the library. And I'm like, but it's also so crucial to like the Flood storyline that you can't really skip it either.
At the time, even, like Halo 3 is a lovely, amazing, super fun, epic campaign. But at the time, it's not like I'm going, this is Half-Life 2 levels of masterpiece. Like it's a good campaign. It's a really good multiplayer. And there's a ton of people in the like scene who love this thing and play it. It was amazing, but I think it's been put on a pedestal that makes it pretty high. And that pedestal is boosted because of what it did for like online console gaming.
Yeah. Like Halo are some of my favorite games ever, and yet I firmly believe if they had released as they were today, they would just be destroyed. Like Halo 2 had probably the original E3 demo watering down thing, like that Watch Dogs and stuff got slack for. Like they literally created an entire new game for the demo that wasn't the game that they shipped. All of the games were incomplete. Their project management was a train wreck. Their studio was full of toxic crunch garbage. They ran a boys club. The half of the hype that they pushed so quickly for Halo 3's release was because Halo 2 just didn't finish. So we had this giant cliffhanger that they just used to leverage into hype for Halo 3. Like that's the way Halo 3 paid off the first two games was because it was unfinished.
There'd be one of those like 10 million view videos of like Halo 2 downgrades from the trailer to release or whatever. So, well,
anyway,
we should probably hit the break right there. There's a lot of comments left, so
we'll pick up the pace.
That was
after
a
the break.
good comment. That spawned a lot of good discussion. Thank you, Harvey Too Tall. Welcome back, everyone. Oh no.
There was just enough applause we both took.
It's so perfect. Oh my goodness. You go for it, good sir.
We're back. We're gonna pick up the pace on some of these comments, although a lot of them are good. So maybe we just end up bumping them. That's kind of the thing. We obviously don't show you our show docs, but like sometimes I have so many comments that we'll just cut them off after a certain point when we gotta end the episode, and we'll pick back up the next time. We've got one from Kyler3030. Who says, so I went on an MMORPG safari this summer. I love that phrasing. That is an awesome way to describe just like trying out a bunch of games. I keep seeing this cycle of people getting sick of the usual grinding of dailies, so they try a different MMO. When that doesn't hit, they try some single-player games, usually Sony-style movie games. Oh, I guess I'm just not into the solo games, and then back on the treadmill. Any thoughts for recovering mono gamers? I think co-op games would be a good fit, but no, it's usually Elden Ring that breaks the spell. That or streaming whatever solo game.
Oh my gosh, these comments are so good. I read further down in the show dog, and I'm like, everybody is hitting the nail on the head. Yeah. Getting off of the hamster wheel. You cannot force somebody off the hamster wheel. They have to make the decision. And it's almost like quitting social media. There is a point where you're like, oh, that wasn't serving me. I wasn't having that much fun. I'm not ever going to go back. Or there's the other side where they're still loving it enough that they just get back on the hamster wheel. But I have heard from a lot of MMO players over the years, that first one, your first hamster wheel that's good, like your first deep dive MMO, there's nothing quite like it. And I think a lot of people just chase that feeling the rest of their life. So I don't have a great tip other than the feelings test, which we hit on all the time. So, Epos, what is that feelings test?
The feelings test is basically sitting down before you play a game and thinking out, ideally writing it down on some paper or something, the ancient scrolls of times past, writing down your feelings of what you think you will feel, like what you're feeling now, what you think you'll feel playing the game, and how you will feel after. And then when you finish playing, you look back at that list and evaluate, maybe write down again, how you felt while you were playing the game and how you felt after, and see if those aligned. Because if you're trying to break a habit of playing a certain kind of game or something, you're probably not getting what you want from it. And this can help you identify whether it's a good idea to be playing what you want, whether it's the right path for you. But it can also help you find games to try out when you're trying to break that habit. Like, you can help you identify what you're wanting from the game in the first place. If it's the daily like grind of doing your gathers and your crafting or whatever, you won't find one game that will last forever, but there's a lot of little games that can do that. Like, one of the things that stood out for my wife and I playing Horizon Zero Dawn is all of the resource gathering and crafting and stuff is very much similar to what we would spend a lot of our casual time doing in Guild Wars together, which is an MMO. Obviously, there's the big raids and the story and all that stuff, but the goofy map exploration and crafting and gathering thing is very much a similar vibe in Horizon. And so by identifying what you want instead of just going for the biggest games that are popular, I think you'll more easily find what you're looking for, and it'll help you break the habit in the process, because it'll help you realize that your feelings aren't what you're expecting them to be. Potentially. Maybe they are, and then maybe you just don't need to switch games. Like, we can't assume that your feelings will prove that the game is bad, but I'm assuming if you're trying to be a quote-unquote recovering mono gamer, then you have something to recover from in the first place.
Yeah, and you can always hang out in Discord and still play another game, right? If you're trying to do something else. I don't love split focus gaming that much anymore.
Yeah.
Like, for social games, it makes a ton of sense. And I think MMOs are always hard because the hamster wheel is much more difficult to escape, because if that's where your entire sense of community comes from, then of course you're going to keep playing stuff longer than if you enjoy it or not, right? If all your homies are playing over there, that's what you're going to want to play. So, and that's not necessarily bad either. If you're at an age and a time in life where you can play and spend time with friends,
yeah,
that's like way more important than playing a game by yourself alone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no like value ranking here of single player games over top of multiplayer. Like, with all of our talk of Halo just now, like, some of our favorite memories forever are tied to multiplayer experiences, and you don't want to just throw that away because you think you need to play single player.
Yeah. It's not a hierarchy or a linear ethical chart of like, I am superior because I do that. The only thing I'm passionate about in all of this intentional kind of movement that we keep talking about is spend your free time doing stuff that recharges you, refuels you. Life is hard, and it is full of so much challenge. And if you're not getting to do things that you love because you love them, like, then that sucks. Get away from that and find something you enjoy. And if the MMO stuff is what you enjoy, heck yeah, enjoy, rock on, you know?
Yeah, and if the MMO hamster wheel while watching TV shows or chatting with buddies is how you recharge after work, then trying to force yourself to do something that's more taxing and more stimulating and less relaxing is just going to end poorly.
Yeah. Last night I did split focus TV watching. I was trying to read articles while TV was on in the background. And I've been pretty good this last year about avoiding the split focus stuff. It feels horrible. Oh my goodness. It's I can't absorb into either thing. I'm just feeling like I'm interrupted the whole time.
Yes. It's one of those things where, like, you don't think you struggle with it until you really sit down and look at it, and then you're like, oh.
Get the phone away from me. Next comment, Jonathan Lawrence 5043. I know Epos mentioned ordering the Ein Thor for Pokemon. I just wanted to ask if you guys keep up with the retro handheld scene in general, and if so, what do you think about the massive advancements in the emulation on these Android devices over the last couple of years? Love the podcast. It's nice to find some like-minded individuals in this hobby, true, quoting gamers, in the purest sense of the word, who don't get caught up in the toxic Twitch era gaming industry. Well, thank you. I don't keep up with it as much as Epos does, so I'm going to hand the baton over to you.
Yeah, I don't keep up with every little one. I got kind of overwhelmed because after 2017, there was a new retro handheld thing releasing every 6 months, and for a while, especially the retro like PC ones before the Steam Deck came out, all of those were like super expensive, and so I was just like, why would I pay $1,400 to have a tiny computer that runs games really poorly just because it fits in my pocket? And now the Steam Deck has kind of like standardized the handheld industry a little bit. So that side's gotten better. The retro side has been great. I've had a few of the little Ambernicks and whatever that you can load up with a million ROMs. I struggle with the stuff we've talked about before, where when you have the emulate everything device loaded up with everything, you don't really want to play anything. And I know that's not everyone. I know the retro handheld scene has blasted off because a lot of people really like having that on their commutes and stuff. But for me, it really erodes my relationship with the act of choosing the game. And so I was very specific with the Ein Thors that it's mainly going to be Pokemon and other DS or 3DS style emulation, because I can limit it in that way, and it can be a purpose device. If it's just a device that has a million games on it, I'm going to be stuck in choice paralysis and never really play anything. Whereas I can, when I can, and maybe this is an ADHD thing, but like when I can assign a thing a role, I'm much more likely to use it for that role than just trying to have it around. And so I think it's really cool that these devices have blown up in popularity. There's someone who's been making a very cool, like, Switch Nintendo looking UI for these Android devices that unfortunately will not come to PC stuff, but like as an emulation launcher that looks absolutely gorgeous. And so I'm excited to try it out. I'm excited that it's fascinating because DS and 3DS emulation has been kind of hardcore performance-wise for a while, but things have gotten to the point where we can now get a device that is cheaper or the same price as it costs to buy a real 3DS now that can emulate it, and then you can do all the mods and extra stuff. Like, that is bananas to me that we are at that point in terms of hardware, and that the 3DS is so expensive.
I almost don't want to talk about it because it's so incredible, and I'm sad that like most people, I don't feel good recommending it with the prices where eBay is at right now.
And I like physical games. I like having the real ones and choosing them, but a 3DS that has slightly bigger screens, they're OLED, one of them is 120 hertz, like,
oh my goodness.
This is a better 3DS.
They're so expensive. Like, the 3DS XLs are almost $300, and it's like totally driven by the nostalgia wave.
Yes.
And so I have two handhelds. I have a new 2DS XL I bought in 2017 to play Monster Hunter games, and I think I must have bought it for $100 back then. It was not bad at all, and love it. And then I have a PSP to replace my childhood PSP that I lost, and it's got an IPS screen in it. And so my only two thoughts are, I think it's amazing, the advancements in this space. I think there's a lot of people recognizing how fun some of the older games that were built for handheld consoles are, because they're just really short bursts of gamey gameness, which is phenomenal. Yeah. I'm in that decision fatigue point where I actually feel like really bad and guilty when I think about my two handhelds, because I don't play them enough. I don't do enough with them, and I don't want any more choice. Like I'm in a point right now where decision fatigue, I'm trying really hard to avoid choice paralysis or whatever. But I say I don't keep up with it. I watch Wolf Den pretty often. I love the content Bob Wolf makes about these retro handhelds. I think it's like such a fun way to keep up with the space, and then also somebody who has like a lot of, it seems like just incredible priorities when it comes to like playing stuff for fun and the right reasons, and is it cool? And so that's my only thoughts on the matter.
We got a comment from the back vlog 5106. Recently, I've begun backing away from online shopping altogether, unless it's something exclusive to the internet like Epos' 3DS thing. Everyone is excited for this. I love it. Anytime I need anything for the house, I'm adamant about finding it in person, no matter how inconvenient. Same goes for games. The only places I buy games nowadays are from a local video game store like an hour and a half away from me, or conventions. I like traveling. I like to make the traveling and the hunt the highlight of getting the game, which you don't experience if you don't buy it digitally, or if you just buy it digitally or get it from Amazon. Getting the game can be just as fun as playing it. Another thing regarding new releases is that I'll only buy a game that I know I'm playing right away. Death Stranding 2 and Silent Hill F were day one buys, and Once Upon a Katamari is next, but I played those first two games immediately, and the hype I'm feeling right now about doing a road trip next Friday to pick up Katamari makes me feel like a kid again. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, man. You go for it. You go for it. There's joy there.
I want to do this. I really want to do this. My wife and I have been making big choices. We've cut out Amazon. We've been trying to buy things local when we can. And even when we buy, like, we don't get fast food a whole lot these days, but when we do, we're trying to get like locally owned places and not chains. I source my meat from like local farms now, which is awesome. And similarly with games, I have a really bad habit of the second I hear, like I just talked about earlier in the show, the second I hear about a cool PS2 game, I'm ordering it off of eBay. And I do think it the reduced friction means I'm buying a bunch of games that I'm not playing, which is not intentionality. And it does take away from the experience. I have so many memories of getting cool games like that I had to go out for, or like immediately getting in the car as a kid, cracking open the case and reading the back of the manual and like obsessing over it till I got home and could pop it in. I have so many memories of that, and I think it is a good part of the ritual. I think a big part of intentionality is building a ritual around either acquiring or using the thing, and I just love to see people doing that.
This is going to be a stupid side cut, but it is going to relate to this. I told you I'm watching train videos. Well, yeah. I stumbled on my lunch break yesterday. A person who was traveling to a national park by Amtrak instead of flying there. And the Amtrak trip would take 3 days on the train versus obviously hopping on a plane and getting there. And It was pretty cool to see that basically train travel has this romanticism that neither the plane or the car has to it. And he got to read a book and look out the window and see all these places and spaces. And no, it's not the most convenient, but I kind of like that phrase. Like there's like a romanticism. There's probably another word to describe it, but there's something great about the process of like going and buying it. There's something sort of a bummer about I can just click on Amazon and buy it here in 2 seconds. You know?
Yeah.
There's no more discovery that way.
No, I think it's a big part of the hunt. I mean, even with modern gen stuff, like I have to be careful because when I actually manage to stroll into a game shop, like the act of just looking at games on a shelf and picking them out, I may go looking for one in mind and then come out with like 5 because it's like, whoa, these are so cool. Like that process is so special, and it helps you discover more sometimes, depending on what task you're doing. I wouldn't drive an hour and a half for like groceries or things I need day to day, but like games theoretically are not things you're buying all the time and you shouldn't need right away. And so having that extra bit of friction can really help.
You know, it's changed the way I view games also because there was no YouTube to go look up the alternate ending or go look up what I missed or go look up the solution to a puzzle. Sure, there was like the strategy guide, which I still have mine and I love them, but I was thinking about that this morning. There's a point in FF7 where you have 2 choices of pathways that you can go, and they preserve that in the original. That choice is from the original game, and it's in the remake. I couldn't remember what choice I made a few years ago when it came out, and so I pulled out my phone this morning, and I wanted to look up which pathway should I go on, and I literally stopped and I put the phone away because I'm like, then the experience is not my personal choice.
Yes.
There's a really sort of bummer about games in general, the fact that you can look up a long play of everything and see every bit of the game ever. They didn't used to have that. Now, I'm not saying we should ever roll the clocks back. There's wonderful benefit in being able to see content and video of games and stuff, but just think about that. There was literal mystical legend things in Pokemon and all these different games that you would hear on the schoolyard and just like, oh, whoa, I got to, like, every cutscene felt so amazing to get to. Like story games when I was a kid, I was just playing to see the next CGI cutscene for the most part. And then it was like, can you believe how amazing this looks? And that's all gone now in this era of everything is convenient and accessible. So I kind of like that idea of going back to the more intentional, inaccessible, romantic pathway.
No, I 100% agree. I'm the same way with music. Like I will discover music through streaming sometimes or on the radio or whatever, but I also love just like sometimes I'll go to a music shop and find out an artist that I love has had possibly even 2 new albums that I've completely missed out on, and going through that discovery process is a lot of fun.
It's pretty amazing. All right, the Jared experiment. I recently played through Cyberpunk 2077 after putting it off, as I knew once I started I would be hooked. About 80 odd hours later, I beat the game and was thoroughly satisfied. So much so, I even picked up some physical content in the universe, the Dark Horse comics, a novel and a world of book. Maybe a lore book or something?
Yeah.
I know the game launched in an absolutely broken state, but alas, the patient gamer wins again. Was curious about your thoughts about supporting companies that ultimately launch games in this state, but ultimately end up delivering mostly on what they promised. Other prominent example in recent years is No Man's Sky. Ooh, another great question. Epos, why don't you take the ball first, then I'll pop in.
I understand the moral like quandary with this because there's a lot of people who argue like we just shouldn't support games releasing in broken states and whatever, but like stuff happens. No Man's Sky has received nearly 10 years of free updates and free content, like massive amounts of free content. to the point that the players who enjoy it are literally just like, please give us a way to give you more money. Stop giving it to us for free, because they've added so much to No Man's Sky. And with Cyberpunk, yeah, they fixed pretty much everything from launch, gave it a whole new breath of life with the expansion, and they have seemingly taken a lot of lessons away with regards to developer crunch and expectations and everything with regards to working on The Witcher. And so I think it makes sense to not pre-order games and to not buy games right away if they are broken. But if the studio turns around and learns from its mistakes and doesn't, abuse the players and instead just makes it good, I think we should celebrate that. I think that is the best possible outcome if mistakes are going to be made, and we should support that. And I was someone who also waited on Cyberpunk and was really enjoying it when I played it. It's one of those, I really struggle if I wait. I think I've learned that certain games, like, I just gotta hit the right stride, the right mindset to really stay into. So like I started Cyberpunk 2 or 3 years ago now and was in love with it. And every time I sit down with it, I'm like, this is amazing. I need to keep playing. But then it'll only be that one session. I'm waiting after my current game obsessions kind of relax for maybe Cyberpunk is my next one.
It's such a good game. And so I played it at release on a 1080 Ti and a 7700K, so I didn't have ray tracing. And the experience was pretty good, but yes, it was unfinished and messy. Not to the degree that the console launches were. That was unacceptable, like what they were doing on PS4 and stuff. But then I replayed through it last year, and I went through the Phantom Liberty DLC, and that was unreal how good that was. And Phantom Liberty, if you haven't played the DLC, Jared Experiment, I highly recommend it, because there are moments in that DLC that do realize, I think, on the vision that the marketing for the game had. Because I remember watching that hour-long gameplay demo with the narrator who's like, and now we're at the point where you can do anything you want, and the world reacts in meaningful ways. And I ate that up, hook, line, and sinker. I really was in the moment. This is the next thing in gaming. This is the next 500-yard leap that we talked about that like Halo made with online infrastructure for consoles and stuff. And then when the game came out, it had those moments where you could almost see that future, that 500-yard leap, but then you could just see, okay, this is an open world sandboxy GTA game. Here's the limitations of the simulation. Phantom Liberty has a few points and moments where it like really, really lands that. And I do think Cyberpunk 2 or whatever it's going to be called, if they take the time, they really could make this that next step, that next evolution in gaming. And so in terms of practices of supporting developers who release unfinished stuff, don't pre-order games. I think that's Total Biscuit had that right a long time ago. There's really no reason to pre-order a game. Yeah,
I think voting with your wallet needs to be a dynamic conversation. I think that's the only way it can work. If you completely abstain from a game because it launched broken, even though it's especially something like No Man's Sky that's received all that amount of support, you're not incentivizing the games to be fixed and to be taken care of better. And that sends mixed messages, I guess. And I think it works better when studios can be rewarded for fixing their mistakes and learning from them rather than just declaring them dead the moment they make a mistake. Maybe that's just naive of me, but so far it seems to be working out. Like, we have these two big examples where it's like, yes, every game that has a messy launch should do that. No, that should not encourage more messy launches. And I think the initial wave of backlash sent that message. But I think allowing them to pick up the pieces is the best case scenario.
And decide for yourself. It's so easy now to be sensationalized about trailers, because what do people immediately run to when a trailer comes out? They'll watch like a streamer reaction of it to be told what to think, instead of like, well, what did you think of that trailer? Take a second to just check in with yourself. What did you actually think of what you saw before you rush to the online consensus committee to determine if it's thumbs up or thumbs down? Because we're losing the ability to think for ourselves. Everybody is just immediately rushing online to see, well, what does everybody else think? Because I can't possibly be not in lockstep with that.
Yeah, that's what irks me. And anytime I realize my feelings have been compromised by what someone else says, I'm like, I really need to evaluate this. I need to not take it at face value. I know there's a lot of people, not to bring too much up the Halo topic again, but like a lot of people didn't notice the pop-in on the Halo Campaign Evolved trailer. And like, that's fine. If you didn't notice it, especially because it'll probably get fixed up over the next year, you're probably not going to have a problem with it. There were a lot of people who lasered in on it and are like, this is unacceptable. And I'm just sitting here like, yep, I played Halo 2. It was way worse. It was in every cutscene, and every moment when they switched scenes, you could watch for like 30 seconds before the detail showed up. I think I'm going to be okay. But then if you go online, you're like, no, this matters way more. It's way worse than I possibly imagined. I have to change my opinion now. So Isn't it
terrible? Your subconscious is haunted by titles and thumbnails you've seen on YouTube.
Yes. We got a comment from Dova Ninja. Love your guys' podcast. On the subject of gaming games, what big AAA games do you think would benefit from having less cinematics and more gameplay? This ties in kind of to, I should have put this in the earlier PS4 section. God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man, Last of Us, all the big Sony games.
Oh, what a comment.
I'll throw Metal Gear in there.
Oh, well, I think, wait. Metal Gear is all cutscenes, man.
I know. That's the problem. I'm going to say Spider-Man is probably the perfect balance. Like, at least, to be fair, I have not played through the full original. I sat side by side with my dad as he played through a lot of it. I did play Miles Morales, and like, there's a lot of talky talk, but like, you spend a lot of time playing, and you have a massive sandbox to play in. Separate from that, I think it's a good balance.
God of War. It's right there. Yeah. I mean, bring God of War back, even if you have two separate franchises. You've got Walkie Talkie mainline, and then they showed off the leaked images from the live service multiplayer God of War, and it looks like it's back in Greece. And so give us an isometric, super polished, great graphic gamey game God of War. That would be so fun. Even if it's like a spin-off series, I think that is like probably the franchise.
PTSD flashbacks.
Yeah. But now he's a good dad, Epos. He's changed.
I think the original 2018 God of War and Horizon are kind of the most offensive in terms of that upfrontness. I don't even think the core having all the... I haven't played The Last of Us. As much as I dunk on it, I have not played it, and I probably won't play it. But like for me, in terms of the upfront bloat, God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn are kind of the most offensive. Horizon Zero Dawn, you have like the whole first hour that is just a walking simulator, and you're being talked at and cutscenes. And it's to the extent it took us my wife and I 3 times to get into it, because I started it whenever I first got the version I had when it came out.
Yeah.
And bounced off it immediately in that first hour. I tried it again a couple years later. I still was like, what the heck is with this first hour? I can't get into it. And then my wife and I started our current playthrough in 2023 and also bounced off of that first hour. We were like, this is really slow. This is boring. We're not into it. And then when we picked it up again, we were past that and got into the game, and we're like, this is amazing. Why did it start so slow? And God of War 2018, narratively, they start you out super, super slow with only the axe. The whole game is slow. It is cutscene after cutscene, and not just the cutscene, but the whole time you're doing this slow walking and talking, you have this E3 demo-like banter back and forth between the boy and the Kratos. It's just this constant overstimulation thing that, to me, it's just... They're the most offensive in that regard. But I hear Ragnarok is better for it. I think Spider-Man is a great balance. I think The Last of Us is just... from what I've seen, like those kinds of games, like they're supposed to be movie-like. So like, I don't know that they would benefit from having less, because that is what they are made for. They don't appeal to me because of that, but like, that's what they're for.
I wish we got like a Sly Cooper game again. That would be really fun. Some of the old like mascot kind of games, I think, would be rad. It's not as much like you said. I don't know if those games need less. That's their vision. That's what they are. If we don't like it, we don't need to play it. But I think we just miss out on some of those older, like, mascot Sony era games.
And that's why God of War is such a sticking point for us, because it was one of those games, and then they changed it.
They took our God of War.
I think we got a couple more we can hit before we got to wrap. Do you want to do M4 Productions, and then I'll do the Reddit thing?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, Epos and BBK, I appreciate your podcast so much and watch every episode. For better or for worse, BBK even convinced me to drop $1,600 on a mountain bike. No way, dude. And I love the sport now. My wallet cries. My question for you guys is, do you ever lower the difficulty in your single-player games, or even use cheats or mods to cater the gaming experience more towards something that passes the feelings test? Also, is there any guilt that comes with that for you guys? Every once in a blue moon, I give myself infinite ammo for a section of game, or do an XP skip when I don't want to grind tasks on empty open world or sections of games where I don't feel like my time is being respected. Although the game as a whole might be amazing, does that count as clearing a game from your backlog if you didn't go for the intended experience or normal difficulty presented by the developer? What do you do when you know you'll love playing through the rest of a game, but you come to a standstill at a frustrating part of the game with diminishing returns for your efforts as a player? I feel like in our pursuits of completing games, we can put unfair pressure on developers to make the right design choices every time and ourselves to enjoy all those choices. Wow, that was exceptional. By the way, M4, stoked to hear you riding. What bike did you get? I want to nerd out on that. It makes me incredibly excited. I think I talked about this on a party chat earlier. I lowered difficulty on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth a few weeks ago, and I think I asked you the same thing. I don't know if it was Dual Comm or if it was party chat, but yes, I totally do that now, and I have no guilt because, well, actually, Epos, you take it away. I read the whole comment. You take it away.
Yeah, I mean, we're both in favor of just playing games the way you want to play it. There is no does it count as clearing it from your backlog. If you played the game to the extent that you're happy and done playing it, it's cleared. Like there are no measurements that matter other than your satisfaction with it. And especially with mods, like there are lots of games that I will mod up to make playable these days. The Marvel Midnight Suns game I'm always talking about, there's a ton of quality of life mods, and some of it do make it easier. And so I am playing on the hardest difficulty, but I can flood in like 5 characters instead of 3 and things like that. And so it balances it out. I am most likely playing back through Mass Effect 1 since I'm having to move my playthrough to PC, and so I'm going to be putting on some mods that speed it up a little bit just so I can get through it again so that I can get to 2, which is what I was wanting to play with my character intact. With Dragon Age Origins, when I lost my last little bit of the game save, I just turned on, there's a mod that gives you just like an insta-kill spell so that I can get back to where I was before. And I mean, back in the day, I had Game Sharks and action replays and stuff, and we had cheat codes that were built into games to unlock characters or like unlock all levels. Like whatever makes you enjoy the game, go for it. I really don't like how modern games, a lot of them, we're seeing this come back, but a lot of games for a long time removed any sort of cheats or codes or secrets, and then we got really anti-modding for a while, and modding's coming back in favor. And I think things like Haste and Doom this year, with their crazy difficulty tuning to really fine-tune the experience to exactly what you want, I think that should be the precedent going forward. And even like we've had a comment before about playing through Souls games, like freaking do the seamless co-op mod and have a buddy carry you through it if you can't play it. Like that, who cares what anyone else thinks if they're going to be mean about it? Like just play the game.
I play a lot of JRPGs over the years, and I have no problem dropping difficulty if I'm like, look, I know what it takes to beat this boss. They just gave me a grind wall. Almost every JRPG has a point where they expect you to go complete side content and go grind some battles to jump up a few levels. And I know what that's like. It's literally like pretty mindless second monitor gaming for the most part, where you just go, you fight battles, and there is a certain level of fun in that. It's always fun to like over level your party and come back and just demolish stuff. I think that is like super fun. But if I want to be like, look, I'm not going to spend an hour or two. That happened in Rebirth, actually, because I was just like straight up cruising through the game, not doing much side content stuff, and I just wanted to see the end of the story. So I dropped it to easy difficulty in like the last chapter. And guess what? I can go back with chapter replay and go through it on normal if I want to. So
yeah,
arbitrary is the best word for all of this stuff. These expectations, let's bring Elden Ring into the mix, for example. Oh, you didn't beat it sword and board? You didn't actually beat Elden Ring.
You use summons? That's not the real game.
You use the Mimic tier. I use the Mimic tier for Shadow of the Erdtree. It was hard. I don't care. Like, I get it. If I want to really boast about my skill set and to do it the honorable way, no hit, no armor, no Mimic tier, I could totally do that. But that's really not what I get fun out of games for. So the same thing, like just, yeah, it's totally guilt-free and make games work for you. And the way that you're talking about it, I think that's a much more mature way to handle things. Again, unless you're out there on the schoolyard trying to get those brownie points for beating it the real way.
Yeah. I mean, it's your leisure time, your experience. You should be able to do it however you want. Like, if you want to, I don't know. I think back to like my Pokemon obsession. A lot of what I'm doing right now is on original hardware, but I also play the games in an emulator, and it makes the grinding go a lot easier because I can just turn it on 400% speed and just go through all the battles super, super quick. And it doesn't change anything. Like, I'm still playing the game. I'm just making it more enjoyable for me. And that's, you're not a better person because you set through an extra 100 hours of clicking the A button than.
Yes.
So we had a thing that I'm highlighting that isn't a comment from one of you all viewers. It was actually a post to the Old School RuneScape subreddit, which I've been minorly obsessing over lately because there's this weird phenomenon going on with a guy eating an absurd amount of trout. I made a video on it. You can go watch it if you're curious. But I thought it was very...
Wait, trout in the game?
Yes. So
Okay.
he just started posting in this random town that isn't popular on this specific world. He just started posting that he was eating 500,000 trout. And you can only have 26 in your inventory at a time. So it was going to take a really long time, and it's gained traction. It's all over the subreddit. He now has like the whole town, the world gets filled to the brim, and the whole town turns into this massive party every time he's there eating the trout, and people are cheering him on. And so he started with 500,000, got down to like 100,000, and now he's up to like over 1 million because people just keep giving him more. It's ridiculous. The scene is amazing, but I thought the Reddit post was specifically very relevant to the discussions we have on here. The title is, how do you guys keep playing OSRS even though it's very time consuming? And then the post is, don't get me wrong, I love old school RuneScape. The nostalgia, the grind, the satisfaction when you finally get that drop. It's unmatched. But seriously, sometimes I just sit there and think, how do people keep doing this for years? Getting one item can take 2 to 3 weeks of pure grind. And somehow that's considered normal? Like we're out here celebrating digital rocks after losing sleep, meals, and sometimes even social lives. It's honestly kind of wild how this game conditions us to think that 200-hour grinds are just, quote-unquote, part of the charm. Yeah, no hate. I genuinely respect the dedication, but do you ever stop and realize how unhealthy this game actually is sometime? And then all the comments are basically like, what are you talking about? I don't sacrifice my sleep and my meals and my social lives to do this. That's not how you should play the game. But I think it's very revealing how much the like streamer, YouTuber, extreme play mode culture kind of influences things. And we were talking about that before with Borderlands 4 and how like on week 1 everyone was going for all the best in-game loot already, like getting the best possible weapons and all this stuff. And it's like, what happened to people just playing games normally? And I think it creates this pressure for us to play way more than we should, or in a way that we don't want to. Speaking of the last comment of controlling your experience, that I think a lot of people don't realize that the average player and appreciator of a game is just doing it the like casual way, not the sensational YouTube title, thumbnail, Twitch stream way.
Yeah, it's gamers will optimize the fun out of games, but I want to be careful with that because it's not all players. Just like this thread is revealing, like there's a majority at the top comments. Funny, it's like I just don't play when I don't have the time, bro.
Yeah,
like this. It's very funny. A lot of our comments and intentional talk about stuff on Dual Comm Party Chat gets boiled down to like, you're just way overthinking this. I don't live in that world. I don't have these problems. Like I don't even think about this. I just do what's fun. Well, it's like, well, cool. A lot of us are trying to get back to that, and it's very easy in our world now when you just consume continually and you're not creating or interacting with your hobbies as much as you are like watching content or reading content about them, to just get thrown into the stream of thought that's always moving with this stuff. And so, especially with investment games, there's this hidden hand goal of get to the end and get the best stuff.
Yeah.
And in service of that pursuit, most people fly through the content or try and just play the game as optimally as possible. But what is so funny is most of the fun ways to play those investment games is in a casual sense, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of that end game content is just grinds, and some people really like the grinds, but most of the rewards for grinds are extrinsic stuff. They're bragging points to be the best on the server or in the top guild or whatever. And they're not really that fun. Most of the pursuits to be like top endgame player, they're chores and they're tasks and they're pretty stupid.
Yes. And it's designed to just make it exciting to do the thing, not because you actually need the thing. I have been playing RuneScape since 2004. And I've not seen most of anything in the end game. I've never done what's called like an Iron Man playthrough, which is just like a really like no death, like super hardcore speedrun playthrough. I've never seen most of the in-game bosses. I've never gotten most of the rare loot. I have not done most of these things despite having played it for 21 years now, because it's always been a game ever since I was a child that I've just played in casual time. A lot of it is an AFK game, so like I play it while I'm doing other things. I love the vibes, the areas, some of the charm of it, and I just kind of have it going while I'm doing stuff. Or when I want to obsess over it, I do, and then I go back to real life. And I've been playing for 21 years, longer than a lot of players have been alive, but I've not seen all this stuff because I don't make it my whole life. But it's easy, like you said, to fall into that if you're surrounded by all of the messaging that's saying this is the best way or this is the exciting way. And it's hard to realize that that's not how most people are playing it. Especially in an MMO, you can look around at what the average person is doing in like whatever town or village or whatever, and realize that they're not all kitted out with all the best loot and max level and have 1 million gold and whatever. Like, you got to realize you're one of those, and that's normal, and that's fine.
It's a peaceful life, as the Andor meme show. Not Andor. Oh gosh, why Rogue One? The Rogue One meme talks about, because it is a peaceful life, and I don't think I was really privy to that world until Destiny 1. I played World of Warcraft during Vanilla and the Burning Crusade, but I just played at my own pace and played for fun, and I kind of loved it. And I didn't even know what endgame was. I was young. I had no idea what those pursuits were. But once I started playing Destiny consistently, and we did the podcast, and we were in a group of friends who played, and we had a clan and all this stuff, you would get online and I would be like, oh, well, this is fun. I'm excited to play. And then you would see everybody in your friend group was like already done with the story, already done with the strikes. They're already geared up. They've hit every weekly. And all of a sudden, you're indoctrinated into the checklist, your spreadsheet of, I need to do this on this time and this date and do this on all 3 characters at this week so I have the best chance to get the highest light. Because if I'm not, I mean, the dungeon's coming out, bro. Dungeons weren't a thing back then. There was a lot more time. You could play Destiny 1 much more leisurely, which I appreciated. And it's pretty funny because I didn't even give that critical thought at all until I left the hamster wheel after Forsaken and Destiny 2. And I never once felt the pull to go back. Ever. Yeah. And I booted it up a handful of times, and I think their strike content is some of the most fun, like PvE co-op gaming ever. But since it's wrapped in this container of the never-ending hamster wheel, I just don't want a part of it. You know, I would prefer, like, let's go beat Halo 3 on co-op, bro. You know, that sounds more approachable to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, well, this is unfortunately where we need to wrap for today. We have a ton more comments, so we will absolutely just push them over to the next episode. Keep them coming. We appreciate your all's feedback. Really, really, like, super thoughtful stuff today.
It's incredible. Thank you all very much for being a part of this community, for listening, for dropping these ideas. We love it, and we're going to try and get to more as soon as possible.
Yeah. Where can they find you, mister?
I am at BBK Dragoon on YouTube and BBK MTB for the mountain bike stuff. Since I've got a mountain bike comment, I do want to know what kind of bike he got. So that's really exciting. And that's it. Yeah, that's it for me. Where can people find your content beyond Lost Saves, Epos?
Epos Fox on pretty much everything else. So got main tech channel, got Neurospicy cooking channel stuff going on. That's the usual name. I'm everywhere else. And of course, go listen to our Dual Comm Podcast, which is the more formal topic-focused rather than comment-focused version of the show. That is over on BBK's channel as well, if you're just itching for more.
And all of this is available on all your favorite podcast players. Links are in the show notes down below. So thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great week.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Bye-bye.